Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a simple user interface or UI in CoppeliaSim. So first, let me run this demo and show you. So here we put a vision sensor on a joint, and the joint is spinning and showing you the scene. And there is more options in the UI that is going to be generated. Look. So you see here, this is a very simple UI. There is a press button. If you press it, you're going to get a message here says button is pressed. But again, remember that when you receive this press, you can do all sorts of other things, right? For instance, you can stop the video. You can do all sorts of things. It's just an input. The other one is this numeric. Right now it's 0. But if you want, let's say you want to type in 10, as soon as you do, the number shows up here. Again, this is an input from the user instead of a 1 or 0 press button. Here you get a number. So 2 inputs and then 2 outputs. One of them is a window showing the image from the vision sensor, and the other one is an axis showing the plot of a sine wave. So if you want to make a user interface like this, which I call simple UI, how would you program it in CoppeliaSim? Because for your applications, you might need to have a UI. So how do we do it? So this is the script for it, and I'm going to share this script with you under video description. But first, let me show you the joint. So this is the script for the joint, and you see it's extremely simple. All you do, you get the handle for the joint, and then you get the time of the simulation by get simulation time, and then you set the position of the joint as 0.2 times t. So theta equals 0.2 times t. This 0.2 is the angular velocity, and this is the time, and the initial angle is 0. You see? So theta equals omega times t. So it's a constant spin with 0.2 radians per second. And that causes this spin of the joint. Now let's go ahead and look at the script. So what do we have in the script? You bring the sim, you also bring the sim UI. This is the one that you need to create UIs. Then you're going to create callback functions for the options in the UI. So you need one for the push button, you need one for the numeric, and you need one when you close the window. So for the push button or button click, what do you have? You write a function that takes the UI handle and the ID of that basically children or child, because each one of these items, the push button, numeric, they're all childs of or children of the UI. So you get the ID of that child, which in this case should be the ID of the push button. And all it does, it adds a log. It adds something to the status bar, and it says button pressed. And that is what you just saw here. That's all it does. Every time you press on that button, it says button pressed, and that is this code for this part. Now, if we look at the other one, the second one, which is the numerical window, the one that reads a number typed by you, again, this is the ID of that, this is the UI, and then you have to pass it a value. And what does this one do? This one again goes ahead and shows on the status bar that numeric value column. And then since that numeric value is a number, you convert it to string using this command toString. In MATLAB, the command is called num2str. So that's what you have here. And so by these 2 dots, you are combining this string and this string, and you do a string concatenation here. So the whole message, which is like numeric value 10, numeric value 5, will be added to the status bar, and you can see that right here. So now that we have seen how to make a numeric window and a push button, let's see how we handle when the user clicks on the close. Right, so look here, when I run this, I have this button here. That's another really push button. When I press this, what should happen? So you have to program that. So what you do here is you create a function called close event handler, and you pass it a UI handle. What does it do? First, it says UI closing. then it hides that UI. Okay, so what we are doing really here, when we are closing it, it should show on the status bar that is closing, and then it is going to hide it. Okay, so that's what we are doing over here. Now, in your main code, the main initialization code, you are creating the structure of the UI. Okay, so you are going to say to Coppelia, what kind of buttons are there, and what are their IDs, what are the properties of each one of these children. So what you do here is, the format that you use is XML, okay? And you know XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. So in the XML format, you tell this command sim UI create what kind of properties of a UI you want, so it gives you the UI. So let's look at these properties. What do we have? First of all, the title of it is going to be simple UI, and you just saw that when I run this. Look, the title of this UI is what? Simple UI. And you can see that right there. Okay? So you give it the title. Then what? Can you close this? You see, it says closable true. So yes, I can close this. Then when you close it, what's going to happen? On close, this is the function, the callback that you're going to call when you press on the close. You call this guy close event handler. And remember, what this one did was showing a text and hiding it. So when you close it, use this function to handle the closing events. Now what? The push button, the ID for the push button is 1000. So this guy here, this ID that goes there, that's 1000. The text that it will show is press me. And when you click, it is going to call this function button click. And what does button click do? Well, it just shows that button pressed, right? So let me run it again for you. You see that it's this text here, it says press me. That is already set in the code. And look at this also. Next, we're going to look at this window. This has a default text of 0, right? So let me show you that in the code. So now if we go to the next one, the numeric one, what do you have? For the numeric one, the label is numeric, okay? And the ID of that window, numeric window, is 2000. The value that you initially set it is 0. And when something changes, when you type a number and change the value from 0 to something else, it should call this function numeric change. What does this one do? It just shows this text on the status bar, and you saw that's what it did. Finally, we have the window that, or the sub part of the window that shows the image from the sensor, vision sensor. The ID of that is 5000. And then we have the sub window or child for plotting, and that guy has an ID of 7400. Okay, so this is the structure of that window. And from this top item to the bottom item, that is how you see these 4 children are arranged vertically. Since first I defined the press goes first, then I define numeric goes next, then the sensor, then the plot. So it reads, as it reads from top to bottom, it also placed them from top to bottom on this window here. Okay. Now, one question you might ask, these numbers, these IDs for these children, are they just arbitrary? What kind of numbers can I use? The answer is they are integer IDs, and the only important thing about them, they should be unique. As long as they are unique, they could be any arbitrary integer. Okay, so you use a positive integer, any is fine. So if you change this from 2000 to 4000, it is fine, as long as if you change this, let's say here, you also, when in the code you call in it, you have to use the same ID. Okay, so now that we provided the XML, we use the SimUI create, and we create the UI window. Now we are going to create the data for it, because those two don't need any data. Those two just read the value and show that the button is pressed. But for plotting, you need to create data. So this is where you create your data. Look, you add a curve to that window of 7400. The type of curve you're going to plot is XY plot, or Y versus X. Then the name of the curve is going to be sample. The color of the curve is going to be 200, 0, 100, which is a kind of pinkish reddish color that you saw, right? If you want it to be all red, you can just change this to maybe 0. And then the kind of plot that you want is called line and scatter. So the points are shown, the markers, and the lines will connect them, right? Then the marker type that you use is a circle. The size of them is 4 and the line width is 2 pixels. So here it is providing the format of the data for the plot and the type of the plot. Then you need to generate the data for it. The data, as I said, is a sine wave in this case. So look, I start this t, x, and y as empty. Then I generate 30 data points. And then I say time is t, x of t is t, y of t is sine of 2 pi times t divided by 29. This is just to adjust the frequency. Okay? And then once you generated the x, y, t data, I'm going to pass them to the window of 7400 that the name of it was sample, and it was under UI, and this is going to add that curve to that window. And then I use these two commands, rescale axis and replot it, so it fits better on that window. Okay, and then I add one extra option here for it, and this is set mouse option. I say for that window, I give it 4 true properties. What are these 4 true properties here? Set mouse options. What are they? Enable panning, enable zooming, enable selection, enable crosshair. So if I use my mouse on that window, I should be able to zoom, pan, do selection, and so on. And let me show you that here. So if I go back, now on this one, you see here, I can pan, right? I'm doing a drag, and I can use my mouse scroll, and I can do zoom in and out. And there should be other ways to interact with this, but here I'm showing you that it is an editable and interactable plot because of the way we set it with this mouse interaction command or option. Finally, we need to show the image on the third window. So here we get the handle of the sensor, and then if you get any data from it, if it's active, then go ahead and get vision sensor image from that sensor handle S. It gives you a resolution and an image, and then use the command simui get image data, go to the ID of 5000, which is the window for the sensor, and show the image on it, and the resolution that you need is res 1 and res 2, which is the height and the width of the image. And finally, at the cleanup function, you say if UI, then destroy. Okay, so if it is closed, then go ahead and destroy the whole UI and release the resources. And this is basically how you make what? You make these guys. Now, can you make other types of interactions? Can you make radio buttons? Can you make other drop-down menus or something? The answer is absolutely, you can do that. So I stopped the video and added some extra thing to it. So here I have added a radio button, and you can see it's very similar. I call it radio changed. And you can give it as many options as you want. And again, what it does when you select any of them, it is gonna create some text here and say ID minus 3000 plus 1 here. And what is this? So if you look at this radio changed, look, what it does for each one of those options that you pick, the ID that it assigns to them is 3000, 3001, 3002. So when you pick 3000, and plug it right here, your ID is going to be 1, and it knows that that is for option A. And then if it's 3001, you're going to get 2, so it knows it's option B. And then 3002, it knows it's option C. So basically, by picking each one of those options, it is going to tell you that you picked option 1, option 2, or option 3. And here is for a drop-down menu. And again, it is going to tell you which one of the drop-downs you selected using the toString command. And if you look at this, again, if you pick item 1, it is going to give you a 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. So what does it do? Let me show you. So look here, if I pick on option B, look at my status bar. You see option C, option A, and look here, it says item 1, right? Let me show you. You see, pick item 2, 0, 3. Now, here the numbering is not perfect. What you need to do is to add 1 to them, because you see when I picked 1, it gave me a 0. So what you need to do is to go here and add a 1 here. Okay, and ideally this should take care of it. So let's make sure that it is working. Right, so these are good. Now if I say 2, you see, now I get a 2, a 3 gets me a 3, and a 1 gives me a 1. Okay, and this is what we need to have. So I added these 2 extra options for you, so you know how to make a custom UI with several options. I'm going to share this script with you on the video description. Hopefully you learn something, and I'll see you in the next video.